is Wendy again. I am waiting at a bus stop, and I thought it might be a good time, maybe it's not, to talk a little bit about how the blog started. It started actually back when I was doing deviant art, or DA as I always call it. And I realized that I was really into Art Deco, and I started like an Art Deco architecture group. Oh, wait, here is my bus. Anyways, so I was on DeviantArt, and I started this group, and I started to get submissions from people, and post my own stuff in the group. What I thought was funny at the time is that people would submit stuff that they thought was Art Deco, but it was just like old architecture. I had people sending me pictures of like Baroque palaces and like Victorian buildings and Mannerist buildings, and people sent me Art Nouveau too. I mean, that I can understand. People get those two confused. I really don't, but so it gave me kind of an idea of what kind of audience there was for it and what gaps in knowledge people had and stuff. And it was around the same time that I realized on looking online that there really weren't any really good websites about Art Deco. The ones I found were really old, or they were just like things produced from historical archives, library collections, city historic district and historic designation listings, and they were kind of static, and there was just like one picture on a page, and they were old. No one was keeping, oh my goodness, tomato soup. No one was keeping everything like updated in one place. And I thought, hey, I might be able to do that. So at the time, I had just discovered Tumblr, and I was using it to post all my other photography, which, included deco stuff. So I got the idea that it would be a good platform to do my deco stuff. There are plenty of people who just use Tumblr to do, memes and have arguments, and there's lots of humor on there, there's social messaging, and I was like, no, I'm going to put architecture on there. And I started following a lot of people on Tumblr who were also doing architecture and things that are related to that, like vintage fashion and historic preservation and vintage advertising. And I started up my own. So I started the blog, starting with my own pictures, and then I started getting submissions, and it grew about as fast as the average Tumblr, and it was doing well. And then what happened was Tumblr does these little features where they take like an image and they put it on the right hand margin of every page, so you get like massive exposure. And they did that for a picture I posted, and I got like 25,000 followers in one day. I just remember like flipping out about that. And then like 2 or 3 weeks later, it feels like it happened again, and I got like 10 or 15,000 more followers. And then building on that base of 35,000, I continued to grow it on my own, and now I have almost 15,000 followers on Tumblr. Wait, 50,000. So when I left off, just got off the bus, I had 50,000 followers on Tumblr. Well, between 35 and 50. And so the blog just grew and grew, and I got super into it. So between maybe 2010 and 2015, it was an obsession of mine. And in that time, I must have made 7,000 posts. I'm not sure. And I took submissions, and I was posting my own stuff, and I was posting lots of links. But what really started to fill it out is I started going through other photo sources. And one of the biggest ones was the Historic American Building Survey, which documents in detail historic buildings, whether they are in good shape and prominent or are like neglected. And that was a source. Also, public libraries and college and university libraries have big photo archives. Museums too. And if you check and you look at it and check the policies, most of them are like, hey, use our picture, don't print it in a book, and you're cool to put it on the web. And then, of course, I would always credit them and link back and all that stuff. Now, so this is where it gets complicated, and that is the whole issue of using other people's photos. Now, I've been doing web work since the beginning. I started designing websites in like 1995, and I do it professionally, and I'm very aware of kind of copyright, industrial property, intellectual property laws, and sort of etiquette. So what I started doing is, say if I found pictures on Flickr and they were not set to, not download, because some people, they don't want people easily downloading high resolution images and claiming them as their own. Fine. But if they didn't have that on there, I would take the images and put them on the blog and Facebook or wherever, and I would give them credit. I would say something like, this guy Mark takes amazing pictures. Here's his Flickr feed, and by the way, here's the link to the image. Here is the text that he wrote, and I did not take this picture. So I would kind of do this for everything. And then what caused, I think, a real problem is then I started going to other people's websites and appropriating their pictures. Now, again, I would always credit the site they came from and link back to the page and the image like 5 different times, as much as I could, and copy the description. So I did that. Now, the problem is, I didn't ask for permission from anybody. I did it sort of Wild West style and sort of in good faith that I was driving traffic to these other people and showing off their websites and their great photography. But then I got a little message from Tumblr saying, so-and-so has lodged a complaint that you're using their pictures or these pictures or something. I can't remember if it was a list or just one. And I said, okay. So I went into the editor and went to the history, and I, tried to find like all the pictures and unpublish them, delete them. Okay. And then it happened again. And I was like, oh, this is creepy and bad, because then they said they have a 3 strikes rule. So I caught myself in time and said, okay, be a lot more careful about this. And then I got a note from Pinterest, because I had been pinning the images on all my posts. And therefore, it was copying the images and putting them on Pinterest. And the same photographers who were not happy about the pictures being used elsewhere were not happy about that. and they reported me and said, cease and desist, you have to take these pictures down. And the problem is, on Pinterest, you got like thousands and thousands of pictures like I did, and it doesn't really show like right there who the credit is for. If you click on it, it says, or if you click on the link. So it really wasn't feasible for me to go and delete these all. Anyways, I messed up, and I think they had a 2 or 3 strikes policy, and I got banned from Pinterest, which these days that only happens to like anti-vaccine crazy people and Nazis. But I got banned. I was like, crap. And it's because of this stuff that I pretty much pulled back from the blog. I said, I don't want to get any more trouble. This is more trouble than it's worth. And I said, okay, I'm just gonna post stuff from libraries and museums and stuff. And then if anyone, submits stuff. But that meant that my content was cut down a lot, and also I got pretty burnt out by the whole thing. So I just said, if I happen to see Art Deco pictures, I'll post them. But now I'm back, and I'm doing it a different way. I'm posting only pictures that I took, submissions that I get from people who sign a form that says, I am cool with you putting my stuff on your channel, and I took this picture. And I may also be using historical archives. I read through the fine print, and a lot of them say, as long as you're not printing this, running it with an article or whatever, it's fine. Just credit us and link back to us. Now, not all are like that. Some are like, please don't do this. You have to order and pay money for, even a digital download. But I'm going to see what I can do, and I'm going to continue also to share like news articles. There's no issue there. And hopefully now I'll have a steady stream of content that will not get me in trouble and keep everyone happy.